Hi guys, after a long break I'm back with another video. As I'd mostly been covering developments in the Wonderland project, the seafood docks and resulting lack of direction for the project was a little disheartening for me, but it seems like now that with the impending vote for Sky H as Treasury Manager and the introduction of revenue share, things are getting back on track. So I thought I'd jump back in and make a video explaining the revenue share functionality that has been recently introduced. Due to its relatively unexpected implementation, people have been having difficulty understanding if revenue share is worth their while, and the short answer is yes it is. So there are two main issues I see people having with this farming. The first is that they'd rather be rebasing at 70,000% APY rather than getting the about 40% APR through farming. So there are two reasons why this is essentially a non-issue. First of all, rebases are basically a stock split that's inflationary to the supply of time. They don't produce real profit. See my other videos linked in the cards for a better explanation of this, but you should know they really just don't matter. So secondly, whilst your W memo is deposited into the farming contract, it still experiences rebases. So you aren't missing out on rebases by utilizing the farming feature. You get both the rebases and the farming APR, so why not use the farm as well? The second issue people seem to be having is that they think they are taking on risk by utilizing the farm. So I thought I'd answer this by explaining what the farming contract is actually doing. So to be clear, the farming contract is not deploying your W memo anywhere, it just sits in the farming contract. So you can actually verify this by looking at the farming contract on Snowtrace. You can see it currently has around 2043 W memo just sitting in it. So if we jump over to the farm tab on the Wonderland site, you can see that is all of the W memo that has been staked in it. So the reality is the farming contract is just a way of distributing treasury profit amongst W memo holders, hence why it's called revenue share. So for example, the current token being distributed through the farm is BSGG. This BSGG was obtained as part of a deal with BetSwap to facilitate Wonderland's initial investment in it. So Wonderland was given 500 million BSGG, 100 million was distributed through an airdrop several months ago, and the remaining 400 million is being distributed through the farming contract. So as the Treasury makes more investments into different tokens, these tokens will also be distributed through the farming contract. The final thing I wanted to cover is how the farming APR is actually calculated. So the general idea is that it represents the total value of BSGG that would be returned over a year, expressed as a percentage of the total value of the W memo being farmed. So based on this, the four things we need are the amount of W memo deposited into the farm, the rate at which BSGG is being distributed, the price of W memo, and the price of BSGG. So at this point in time, the contract is set to distribute 10 million BSGG over a week. This works out to a rate of about 16.53 BSGG per second, which we can extrapolate out to around 521 million BSGG per year. We can easily get both the BSGG and W memo market prices from Dex Screener, and the total amount of W memo being farmed can be retrieved from the farming contract, as I showed earlier. With these pieces of information, it's relatively easy to calculate the APR. So if we multiply the current BSGG price by the total amount of BSGG that would be returned over a year, we can calculate the total reward value per year. Similarly, if we multiply the amount of W memo that is currently being farmed by the current W memo price, we can calculate the total value of W memo that is currently being farmed. So then if we just take this total reward value per year, divide it by the value of W memo that is currently being farmed to produce that reward, and multiply it by 100 to convert it to a percentage, we end up with about 41.2% APR. So if we compare this APR to the one displayed on the Wonderland dashboard, we can see they are basically the same. There is a small error, likely due to discrepancies in the W memo and BSGG prices used for the calculation. So this highlights the fact that the price of W memo and BSGG fluctuating causes the APR to fluctuate, even though the amount of BSGG received doesn't actually change. So, in summary, revenue sharing is a big step in the right direction for the Wonderland project, and if you aren't participating, you're basically missing out on free money. If you have any feedback or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Cheers.